All right. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing today? I hope you're all having a great Friday. Man, it's been a long time since I streamed on a Friday. So, how y'all doing? My name is Fizzer. I am going to be going over the Warzone updates. We're going to be talking Warzone today. I like to give a little backstory each time I start, just to say that, I go by the alias Fizzer. I've been making this game, Warzone.com. I've been working on this game for 17 years. I hope to continue working on this game the rest of my life. Hope you're all having a good week and are planning a good weekend. We're going to be going over everything that changed in the updates. There was an update this week that's via version 5.38. I'm also going to be answering any questions from the community. If you have any questions, feel free to stick them in Twitch chat, or you can post them to this forum thread, which a bunch of people have already done. We're going to be going over this forum thread a little bit later, be answering all the questions that people that couldn't be here asked. Let's see. Someone in the chat is complaining that they're having a problem with the app. They've verified their email, but it's stuck and it won't let them sign out. Yeah, I would say probably reset the app. You can uninstall the app and reinstall it is always a way to reset the app. Let's see. Eerily silence as the song switches. So let's talk about the update. So we just recently had 5.38. When was this? The 20th? 2 days ago? This has been a fast update. Well, in terms of time from the update to getting rolled out on mobile devices. Usually it takes a week or two to get fully out on the mobile devices. This one's going faster. It's not quite done, but it is available on both iPhone and Android, which I think is a record. I don't think I've ever been able to say that on a stream before. Now, iPhone just went live today, so most people's devices have not yet updated. It's something like, I'm looking at the stats now, it's 2% of devices have updated because it just went live this morning. But Android is at about 50% rollout, so about 50% devices have updated. So if you're running Android and you haven't got the update, you can go to the App Store. If you're running either of them, really, you should be able to go to the App Store and update your phone. You're not sure where the standalone client stores its data? I believe it stores it... that's a good question. I used to know this. I think it's if you're on Windows, it's in the registry. Estefano's feature requests open seat prerequisites in the tournament creation interface on the roadmap. Is that the one where you want, when you're creating a tournament, right now it uses the prerequisites of the template you select, whereas you want to be asked the prerequisites every time? Yeah, that's a little weird. The problem with doing things like that is you could put every single setting in the template on this screen, but it just pulls most of the settings from the template. It's already a lot of steps to create tournaments. I don't know that I want more steps, to be honest. I understand some people want to customize things, gives you a chance to customize the name and description, but I don't know. Maybe. It's not something I'm currently thinking about. Will you let us know when all the platforms are updated? All the platforms are updated. Part of the reason we went so fast with this update is the idle-only apps are actually going to skip this update. So I only had to publish 2, whereas I normally publish 4, sometimes 5. 5 if I update the Kindle Fire app. And what I mean by that is there's 2 apps on Android. There's the Classic app and the Idle app. There's 2 apps on iPhone, which is, again, the Classic and Idle. And then there's the Kindle Fire app. But this update, there's not actually anything for Idle, so the Idle apps are just not getting this update, which should be fine. I know you're asking about mods, and Idle basically never plays mods. So, how did the Activision infringement issue end up? It is still going. Unfortunately, lawsuits are not fast, and I know people are going to ask, so there's no update since the last stream. Still waiting on the judge. Prereqs could default to what the template, and it could be overridden from the same page where you override the boot time. Yes, it's true. It's just a little awkward for me to do because I'd have to like re-implement all that logic. I guess, I mean, you could try to share it, but thanks for creating such a great game. On big maps, for example, the Big USA map, the game gets slower and slower. Is there anything I can do in Chrome to improve that? Okay, one thing you can try, and I don't know if this will actually help, but one thing you can try is you can try turning on 3D mode. It uses a different rendering engine. It's worth trying. I don't know if it would actually make it faster for you. It depends on the specs of your PC. This will put a lot of the load onto your GPU, whereas in 2D mode, it's all CPU. If you have a powerful GPU, it might be faster. If you have a weak GPU, it might be slower. You just have to try it and see. Other than that, I'd be interested in hearing what is slow specifically about it. Are you talking about a multiplayer game or a single player game? If you're talking about a single player game, it might be the AI that's slow. If you're talking about a multiplayer game, it might just be, I don't know, something else. Most settings stay pretty stable between the different times that you want to make a tournament, but prerequisites are like boot time, and you should want to change those every single time. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so what are you changing every single time? Interesting. I'm curious. I get that's not super important for you. A lot of small and yeah. Multiplayer. When playing the turn, viewing the actions, it's very slow the more armies are being deployed and moved. I see. You're probably just in a huge epic game with lots of people and tons of armies. So if you are a member, this is the other thing I can say. If you are a member, one thing that will definitely make it faster is you can download the standalone client. This is a standalone app that runs on Windows, Mac, or Linux. And this is super speedy. This is definitely the fastest way to play, like, as it's going slow right now. But like, you can see I can create a custom game on, what's it called? USA? Just USA? Big USA? Sort by number of territories. No, I think it's called something different. United States Big, here we go. I can use that map. I'm gonna change fog to no fog, submit. And it is super speedy, like I can just run autopilot. And maybe not super speedy, but it's definitely a heck of a lot faster than the web app. The standalone app is by far the fastest way to play the game. If you did this on the web app, it would be dramatically slower. As you can see, it is very fast. So yeah, standalone app is great. My standalone app on PC is stuck on the validate email screen, but I already validated it on the website. Now I can't sign out of the app. Are you on? Yeah, you should search for Unity standalone app reset storage. Yeah, just search for that and you'll find, no, this is not it. That's like how to do it from code. You can email me privately and I'll help you. There's a way to reset standalone. It depends on your Windows, Mac, or Linux. Email me privately and tell me if you're on Windows, Mac, or Linux. And I'll look up the instructions for how to do that. Okay, so let's talk about the update. So just 2 days ago, we have an update. One thing that's been added is web push. So web push is a technology. You might have seen this on other websites on the internet. Basically, it's a way that you can register for your web browser to receive notifications. So if you go to your account settings, I just went to account settings on the website. You have this page has already existed, but this is where you can go in and you can configure exactly how you want to be notified whenever something happens, like when someone invites you to a multiplayer classic, Warzone Classic game. You want to get notified by push notification, by email, and this is the one that's new. There is in-browser push notification. So basically you can have it registered directly to your browser, so your browser will pop up a little message whenever someone invites you to a game, or whether it's your turn in a game, or any of these categories. And the way you do that, you scroll down here, and wow, I should remove some of these. You scroll down here to this bottom section that says browser push registrations, and you click the button register browser, and that will create a new entry right here. You can see I already have one. If I want to remove it, I can click remove. But whenever someone invites you to a game, it will pop up a little box. Even if your browser is not on Warzone or I think even if your browser's closed, no, I think your browser has to be open. I'm not sure how that works actually. I think if your browser is open, but even if you're not on Warzone, you'll get a little box that pops up. This is useful for people that play on the website and want to be notified. You already could have done it by email, but I realized that people don't really use email like they did a long time ago. Back when this game launched, back in 2008, most people had, or at least most people I know, we had emails like pop up on our screen. It's like, oh, you got an email, pop it up on the screen. You want to know about that? I haven't done that in a long time, and I don't know anyone else that does these days. So now you have the ability to get notified right on your desktop. Previously, you could have already gotten notified on your iOS or Android app. That still exists. So that was already there, but now you have the web browser option. One request that I've gotten quite a few times over the years is someone will like join an open game on their browser, like maybe a big diplomacy game or something like that. And then they will like minimize it, or they'll go to another tab and they'll go do whatever. And then what the way modern browsers work is they'll actually shut down the tab when it's not active. So like the code on this tab is not running, and which means when the game starts, normally when the game starts it would play a sound, but because the tab isn't active, your browser actually kind of shuts down the tab, puts it into an inactive mode, which means the sound doesn't play. And people would be like, oh, I want to hear the sound when the game starts. I want to know. But unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that because it's your browser shutting down the tab. So Web Push is a solution to that problem, which is now you can register for updates directly in your browser, which will show up even if you're on another tab. That's a long-winded way of saying it fixes that problem, which is a common request I've gotten over the years. So glad to hear that's fixed. Now, I will say that most people still don't know this feature exists unless you read the blog or you're watching this stream. It's kind of hidden. You have to go to like account settings, notifications, and scroll all the way to the bottom. So most people aren't using this yet. It is going to get more visible in the next update. Basically, this update was the test where I wanted to play with it, make sure it all works, and it all seems to be working, so I'm going to go forward with it. So in the next update, what I think I'm going to do is if you're playing in a multiplayer game in your browser and you don't have push notifications, browser push registrations enabled, I'll pop up a little message and it'll be like, do you want to get notifications right in your browser? And you can be like, yes or no. If you say no, it will remember that you said no, so it won't ask you again. But if you say yes, then you will know this exists. Right now, most people don't know it exists. So, yeah, that's what that feature is. How do we get Warzone to be part of the Esports World Championship? This game needs a local area network. Esports World Championship. I'm not familiar with that. What is the Esports World Cup? Is that what it is? I just want to learn about it. Here we go. It is the second edition of the Esports World Cup. Annual international tournament series. Non-profit organization. Largest professional esports. That would be cool. I don't know. I guess you have to submit it to them. You should probably submit it to them. Formally established by Crown Prince Mohammed bin... What? April 2020, 2024, 2025. So the 2025 one is from 8th of July to 24th of August, so it's just about to end. So what games are included? I'm curious about this. These are the teams. Oh, here we go. Apex Legends, Call of Duty, Black Ops, Call of Duty, Warzone. There you go. See, Warzone's already included. Chess. Chess is an esport? Cool. I mean, I'm glad to hear that chess is actually one of them. Like, if chess is one of them, Warzone could be one of them. There's no reason. Like, it fits. But most of these are not very like Warzone other than chess. I think EA Sports FC 25. I'm amazed that these are like red links. Like, There's not even a Wikipedia article? I mean, I know there's a Wikipedia article for Call of Duty Warzone. Why is it not? Oh, this is if there's a Wikipedia article for this game in the World Cup. I see. I expected this to be a link just to Call of Duty Warzone's Wikipedia page. I'm so out of it. I don't play most of these games. I have played chess. I have played League of Legends. Mobile Legends? Bang Bang? Men's and women's? What the heck? What is this? Mobile Legends Bang Bang. It's a MOBA. Released in 2016, most prominently in Southeast Asia. Why do they need a separate competition for men's and women's? I don't understand. PUBG, Rainbow Six Siege X, StarCraft 2, Street Fighter, Team Falcons, Tekken 8, Valorant. What are these dots? Week 1. Oh, let's just when they're played. So what's playing right now? We're at the end, right? Counter-Strike 2? Classic? I have played Counter-Strike 2. I think I've played StarCraft 2. So I played StarCraft 2, chess, Counter-Strike 2. Man, there's no Team Fortress? Why no Team Fortress? Cool. Yeah, that sounds cool. TFT and chess? Yeah. Alright, so that's Web Push. I think we're done talking about that. Custom structures. So this is a new mod feature. This is for mod developers. So like mod developers can put icons on territories on maps. They've always been able to do that, but up until recently, up until this update, they've only been able to use pre-canned icons that were already in the game. Now they can upload their own icons and basically do whatever they want. So this is part of the reason this is happening is I did a big feature that I called texture arrays. And so there's a shader. Let's see if I can pull it up. There's a shader in the Unity app. Let's see. I think I can find it if I search for, nope. Yeah, army numbers. There's this shader. Let's see if I can, how do I make this big? How do I make this really big? Let's open in Explore. Oops. Yeah, here we go. So there's like this big texture that defines all of the images that Warzone can display on territories on the map. And basically there's a shader, which is like a little program that runs on your graphics card that takes the images you see here. You'll recognize all these images are the Warzone idle icons. The shader takes these images and puts them on the map, and then you'll recognize all of the special units that exist in the game. These are the bosses that you'll find in single player, and of course the commander, and the big digits that are used to display the numbers and all of the letters and stuff. Basically, if something wants to be put on the map, a long time ago it had to be in this texture. Now, there was a feature introduced a while back called custom special units that allowed mods to make their own special units. And in order to support that, basically it made a dynamic texture. The app would make a new texture on the fly, and it would start writing those images into that texture. The problem is there was a fixed number of dynamic textures, and if it exceeded that number, basically your app would crash. So I had to be really strict about the number of images I let people upload and the sizes, which is why mods were limited to a very strict number of those, because if they made too many of them, the app would just crash. And of course, I can't let the app just crash. So in this update, that was the past. In this update, 538, I worked on a feature called texture arrays, and this was actually a big project, but this basically allows infinite number of these textures to exist, however many your device can handle in memory. So, and doing this was a whole ordeal because one of the platforms Warzone runs on actually did not even support texture arrays. I had to actually contact the authors of that library and ask them to add it, and they did add it. They were very responsive, and I had to make my own custom build of their library with the feature they added, and it was a whole ordeal, but I got it all done. And so now we have infinite number of textures. So mods are no longer limited to 5 custom images for custom special units. And there's also now room for mods to have their own images that are rendered on the map, which is what enabled custom structures to exist. So now mods can do that. They can just upload their own image and put whatever they want right there. And in the future, also, we should be able to have more room for more kind of images and more things to put on the map. So it's good that restriction no longer exists. Let's see, if the game is in cycle mode, during picking, I get my first pick versus opponent for sure. I know. Does that mean that the first move my opponent will play first? Or first in picking both moves will reward the same person? No. So in cycle, the picking phase is basically like turn 0. So the first turn it will cycle the other way from picking. So if you know that you got your first pick versus your opponent, then you know your opponent will have first move on the first turn of the actual army part of the game. You can consider picks turn 0, yeah. People already answered you in chat, but that's fine. In random, it's 50-50 each turn. That's why we were only allowed 5, yes. Warzone Kindle? Warzone is on Kindle Fire. If you ever want the links to the mobile apps, just go to warzone.com/mobile. And there's a link to the iOS app, the Android app, and the Kindle Fire app. If you ever want those links. That's where I go when I'm like, oh, what's the link to that app? I got the feeling in the chances for digging artifacts, it gives me always the lowest possible. Even if the rare has a higher percentage chance, I'll get the poor 20x poor out of 20 tries. I might be misunderstanding how it works. It will give you the percentages, the exact percentages it says it's going to give you. If you feel like you're getting worse than that, and it's all in your mind. I mean, it's possible you're actually getting unlucky, but over time, your odds of getting the artifacts will converge on exactly what they say the odds are. Will this make it easier to allow mods to add images in other places or only on the map, such as the UI, resources panel, etc.? UI and resources panels were already not limited by this restriction. This is only talking about things that go on the actual map, because the map is rendered by a shader and it's got a bunch of special things or optimizations to make it quick. The UI is pretty easy. That should already not have been restricted. Hey Fizzer, thanks you a lot for your game. You are welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you for the kind words. Okay, so we talked about custom structures. So, more UI style improvements. So this is another thing that's been ongoing the last few updates. I'm sure people have noticed that the UI style has been improving. So like, let's go to one of the pages I worked on, and on the blog, I didn't actually outline everything I did for this. I just kind of say style improvements, and a bunch of things have improved. So like, if I go to Open Games, how come I can't find Open Games? Open Games. And we go to something on here with mods. Anything? Here we go. So if we go to the settings panel, this page has actually updated quite a bit. There's like different sections. So like it says icons, and then there's a graphic of the section. Instead of everything kind of bleeding into each other, it mostly looks the same as before. But having these sections, I think, makes it a little bit nicer. Also, mods now have a section for each mod, whereas before they kind of bled into each other. We also display the icon of each mod, which unfortunately, this game happens to use 4 mods that don't have icons. But you see there's a little blank space here. That's where the icons for the mods would go. That's new. There's also this little menu that exists on the game. We'll put the icons next to the mods as well. By the way, mod authors, put icons next to your mods. Other things that were worked on was the statistics menu in a game. Like if we go somewhere and we open up statistics, this is a pretty minor thing, but this table has had its paddings and stuff adjusted, tweaked, especially to work well on very small devices, because it was really bad on small devices. Essentials has an icon? I don't know why it wasn't showing up. Is it bugged? I will make a note to look into that. Let's see. Let's go to this game. Some of these surely have icons, right? In the settings panel. Yeah, so Where Am I shows up. The icon for this shows up. You're saying Essentials. Essentials does have an icon, huh? Why did it not show up on the previous one? Also, Tanks should have an icon. Why is that not showing up? Not working sometimes? I'll have to look into that. I was expecting the mod title to be centered too. Yeah, I think they just look a little weird when they're centered because they're all different widths. When you have a whole bunch of them in the list, if they're all centered, then they kind of jump around. Now this does look kind of weird because some mods left align their contents and some mods center it. So it's like kind of jumping around anyway, but this is up to the individual mod. I would suggest that mods probably should left align here. And actually that might be under my control. That might be something I can set by default. Of course, a mod can override it. Yeah, I should probably left align by default. Left align by default. Yeah, I'll make that change in the next update. Can I trade idle rewards with coins? I never played idle and I don't want to play, but I earn rewards from Clan Wars. No, you cannot. Very specifically because we give out idle rewards. Coins can be transferred from one player to another, and we give out idle rewards specifically because they can't be transferred is part of the reason that we are so generous with them. Are they supposed to be left aligned? Yeah, okay. How to earn coins. I only have little, and I see people with thousands each season. So there's a whole bunch of ways to earn coins for free, but of course the primary way of getting coins is you can buy them. They are a virtual currency, but if you insist on earning them for free, if you're very good at Warzone Classic, you can earn a lot of coins by going in here and joining coin games. Like, here you go. 72 coins from winning that game, 180 coins from winning this game. That is difficult. 225 coins from winning this game. If you have no coins, you'll have to stick to the ones with zero entry fee. But you can get started that way. There's also tournaments, similar deal. You can pay. Some are free to join, like this one, and it gives coins for winning. Other ones have an entry fee, so consider if you want to do that wager. You can also watch ads in the mobile app to spin the wheel and get coins. Hey Lionheart, it's a pleasure to hear you talking about updates. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. It's good to see you. I didn't know there's such a thing as coin wheel, but I don't want to install the app for privacy. Yeah, the coin wheel is restricted to the app, so that would be the only way. Unless you want to buy Idle Premium, in which case you'd get to spin the wheel for free, even on desktop. But I'm guessing you're asking about free ways to get coins. I would love to standardize some of the things we program. Currently, mods are a lovely mess, but I'd rather not touch any other mod because of the number of differences in codes, UI, and methods, especially custom special units. Yeah, that's kind of up to the mod making community to do. I'm sure I'm forgetting other things in the UI updates. I changed a whole bunch of things, but I can't remember everything that it changed. A lot of it was minor tweaks. The settings panel was one of the big focuses. I did formatting guide to the Create discussion page. So this is something somebody asked for when you're in the Unity app, which is iOS or Android or standalone app. When you go to create a discussion like a forum post, this little formatting guide down here will tell you how to do italics and bold and stuff. Did not exist previously. So that's all that is. I'm not going to go through every single bug fixed. I already talked about this. Fixed bugs. Fixed some wrapping issue. Quick match ratings are supposed to start at 100. That was a change actually from a couple updates ago, but unfortunately it was broken. It worked in one environment on my dev server, but did not work in the production environment. So I missed that. So now they are actually starting at 100. Maybe keep a list of your UI tweaks next so you don't have to remember it. Yeah, I did so many, I just kind of like, I'm not going to write all these down. Best pizza in Seattle? I don't know. I don't eat out much. The pizza I eat is from Costco. It's like a cauliflower crust thing. I don't know. I like it. Fix copying a game at turn 0. So copying a game is a member feature. If you are a member, you can go to any game that is completed and you can copy a game at a specific turn. So you can come in here and say copy at turn 2. I want to recreate this game at turn 2. And that's like if you want to retest history, like if you be like, well, do I think I could have done something different in one from turn 2? Or maybe somebody got booted and you're like, oh, I want to recreate this game from before the point they got booted. And have everyone join. You can kind of like rewind a game. So that's a member feature. So that already existed, but there was a bug where if you tried to copy at turn 0, it didn't work. It would actually copy it at the end of the game instead of the beginning of the game, which was the bug. So that's now fixed. You can now copy games at turn 0. Added player tags, the send mail page. This is something somebody asked for. Tags are like the little pound sign with a number after your name. I don't really want to go to my mail on stream, but somebody had 2 friends with the exact same name and they couldn't tell them apart. So now it says, their number. Oh boy. Hold on. Sorry, had to cough. Okay, that's annoying. My hotkey for muting the mic pops up a bunch of stuff in Chrome. Need to remember that. Does it copy move order too? Yes, it does. It did not do that initially when the feature was first introduced, but I think that was added, last update or maybe 2 updates ago. It now copies the move order. Minimum ladder games are 3 at a time. Do you ever plan on reducing it to an option of 1? Since they're all the same map and settings and people take their time, I get confused and mix them up. It would be nice to have an option of just 1 game at a time. The problem with that is 1 game at a time is not enough to get an accurate sample to like measure your rating. At least that's always been the logic that was used when that was introduced. Now the rating system is different now than when that restriction is in place. So I don't know, maybe it makes sense to allow reducing it. Yeah, because the ladder used to be that you had to like, I think part of the reason for that too is people that are very high on the ladder, you could slow roll it, right? You could get to number 1 and then you could just be like, oh, I'm going to play 1 game at a time and I'm going to play very slowly. And then like no one can really challenge you for your position. Also, I haven't looked at the ladder in a long time. Who is Blob Blob? Congratulations on getting to number 1. But in the past, people would like get to number 1 and then they would just play 1 game at a time and they would play very slowly. So, and there used to be a thing, I don't even know if this still exists. There used to be a thing where if you had a certain number of games under your belt, then you could reduce it under 3. I think you could go to 2. Maybe you could even go to 1. I can't remember. But you had to maintain a certain number of games to do that. I guess that's probably not a thing anymore. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Look at that cool archers. Yeah, good job. All right. F12, I guess then. How about a private notes tab in chat? That is something people have asked for before. You can kind of do that now with a new feature called game groups. You can create a game group with just yourself. Let me actually show it off instead of just talking about it. So like if you come in here, you click this, click chat, click private. It has to be it has to be a group with at least 4 people. That's the one restriction. Then you click create new group and you can create a group called notes. And now you have a group called notes and you can be like blah, blah, blah. And then you can come back here. And since it's only you, if you didn't invite anyone else to it, then no one will see it other than you. Are you looking forward to the inaugural clan club? Sure. I'll check it out. And then if you want to delete the group, you can go here and click leave group. Yes. And boop, it's gone. Okay, where did we leave off? So Fixed date format, just another thing someone asked for. The date format was a little inconsistent. We already talked about this. Mods can use Lua files and subdirectories. That's something another that Just a Dutchman asked for. When an income mod wears off, it's now visible to all players. Okay, this was a little weird one. I wasn't sure if this was a good idea, but there was an issue. So income mod. So if a mod creates what's called an income mod, basically they're changing someone's income. They're being like, now I want your income to be 10 instead of the normal 5. And that's used by like the gift gold mod. There's a mod that says, hey, I'm going to gift someone else gold. And I'm going to give you 5 gold. And if that person had an income of 5, on the next turn, they'll have an income of 10 because I gave them 5 of my gold. Or is this gift armies? Am I confusing it with gift armies? Gifting armies, gifting gold, whatever. Same thing. But you gift them your armies, and they get 5 more armies. And the problem with that was happening was, let's say player A gifted player B 5 armies. Player A would then go into the statistics menu, and they would see that player B had 5 more income on that turn. If this is like a light fog game where you could actually see people's income. The problem is that it would modify their income for 1 turn using what's called an income mod. And then that income mod would wear off the next turn. But player A would see the income mod get created, but it would not see it get worn off, because that was basically the wear off order was secret and it only went to the players it affected. And player A was not affected by it, so they wouldn't see it. So if they go to the statistics panel, they would look like that person got 5 gold every turn, or 5 armies every turn forever. It would look like their income was permanently 5 more, which was wrong. It wasn't actually giving them 5 every turn. It was only giving them 5 one turn. But to the player that did the gift, it made it look like they was giving them 5 every turn. So I'm like, okay, that was the bug. And I had to decide how to fix that. And the way I ultimately decided how to fix that is when an income mod wears off, it's now visible to everyone. So now it will look correctly. Now, this is a little bit of information disclosure. This means that now you can see when someone was gifted armies. You won't know who gifted them armies. You won't know how many armies they were gifted, but you will know that they were gifted armies by someone, which is not ideal. I don't think ideally we should show that, but I decided ultimately to show it. And part of the reason I decided to show it was there was another problem related to this, which is if somebody gifted you armies, you can see the order of those income mods wearing off. And if you went into the orders lists in that game and double clicked on it, you would be able to see everyone whose income mods wore off that turn. Which means this information was already basically being disclosed. Even though it's a little bit of information disclosure, that information was already being disclosed. If you were gifted on a turn, you would know everyone else who was also gifted that turn. If you went and looked at it. So I just decided, well, in theory, you could exploit that by having you and a friend just each gift each other 1 army every turn. That way you always know everyone who was gifted armies each turn forever. So because there was a way to already kind of cheese it and see that information, I just decided to make the information public. Anyway, it's a very long-winded way of a very, very minor change. Long-winded way of explaining a very minor change. There have been a few games in which toxic players have basically ruined the game for me in chat. Even teammates sometimes. Are reports of toxic players taken seriously? So Warzone has rules. And if they are violating these rules, then yes, you should absolutely report them. And the rules are like, you should be respectful of the players at all time. You can't do racist stuff or personal attacks or profanity or operate multiple accounts or use pornographic content or anything like that. If somebody's violating these rules, yes, you file a report and every report is looked at. They are taken seriously. The problem, I don't know what exact situation you were in, but if you were in a situation where somebody was being toxic in a way that doesn't violate the rules, that can be a bad situation. In that case, you should block them. There is a block list. You can block them to try to avoid playing with them again. Is it possible to remember every player that has seen the income mod and only show the wear-off order to them? Yes. That's the ideal solution. I agree. But unfortunately, the way it's coded right now, that would have been really difficult to do. So that's the only reason I did it this way instead. But yes, I agree that's the better solution. I don't believe I've ever seen you play any game or join a tourney. Do you play with a different account? You talking about me personally? I do play quite often, and I do join tournaments. I don't know why you haven't seen me, but I play a lot of quick match. I have played 19,290 multiplayer games. I am currently in 4 games. But yes, I do play a lot of quick match. If you are rated close to me in quick match, it's very likely we will get matched if we're playing on the same templates. If we never get matched in quick match, it probably means we're rated very far apart. And if you're curious about that, you can always go to quick match leaderboards, and you can see people's ratings on different templates. For example, I play a lot of where's Commander Bomb card? Com Bomb. Gosh, there needs to be a better way. That dialogue sucks. So like I'm rated 698, which is 30th. I'm rated 30th in the world. Actually, by the way, one thing I'm thinking about for the next update, I want to put your rating, your rank for each template into the description of quick match game every time a quick match game is created. Like when you come into a quick match game and look at the description, it's going to say like, if you're playing against someone who's rated number 1 on that template, they're basically the best player in the world on that template. And so it should say that, like, hey, you're playing against the number 1 rated player on that template. That's a cool thing to know. I have that on my list for the next update. I'm having trouble playing larger maps on MacBook Pro. It crashes every time. Oh. I'm not aware what would cause it to crash. You should submit a bug report. By the way, bug reports. If you are having a problem with Warzone, such as if the game crashes, you go click this contact link at the bottom, or just go to warzone.com/contact, and there is a report bug page right here. You click on report bug page and fill this out, and I will be interested in hearing about your issue. If you're in the mobile app, you can go click the head in the top right, go to help, and then contact, and then report a bug. This is the report bug page. Those are the 2 ways to get help if you're having a problem with Warzone. So I appreciate it. I appreciate bug reports. I like to have everything work. Do the multiplayer quick match leaderboards include all the players that have played ranked matches, or only ones that have been active within a certain time frame? I believe it is all of them. Are there any plans to create an active leaderboard that only shows players that have at least some activity and not includes accounts that haven't played in a long time? That is not something I'm currently planning on, although I think that's a reasonable request. I think you should add that to the feature request form. Let's talk about the feature request form. We haven't talked about that yet this stream. If you go to the forum and then go to the feature request form, this is the official way to request feature changes to the game. And the way it works is anyone can create a feature request, and then you can come in here and you can vote on what features you would like to see implemented. And you can put up to 3 votes to a single feature. The number of votes you get is based on your level. And yeah, this is how you make your voice heard if you want to see. This is basically what your voice into deciding what you want me to work on. I imagine most people don't pay. Are you able to sustain the platform by just payments? It is true in most free-to-play games, including Warzone. Most people do not pay, but yes, the people who do pay are basically supporting the game. If you don't pay, you're supporting a little bit by looking at ads. But most of the revenue comes from the people who are paying. And yes, we are able to support the game with that. Interesting, World War I game crashes every time. Can confirm I matched with Fizzer on Small Earth quick matches multiple times. How did you do against me? Did you win? Been a fan since the Warlight days. Glad to see the project still going strong. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for kind words. Hi, I like Diplos. Have you considered making AI that declare war / offer peace? Essentially add some spice to the game. I have thought about it. It's not something I'm currently working on. Again, I think that would be a good feature for feature request for the feature request forum. I have thought about doing something like that, but it's not something it's currently high on my list. Sorry to ask again, but would you like to know? I would like to know if you intend to make another tournament format, like group stage I propose in the feature request cup format. Something like this. Bracket maker. Make another tournament format like group stage, like I proposed. It's not currently something that I'm thinking about, but you can submit to the feature request form. Is there a light mode? I do miss the old Warlight chat box where you could drag around the map. Yeah, there's currently not a light mode. You can put that in feature request form. But part of the reason that changed is because it's now a mobile-friendly game, whereas having a box that you could drag around the map doesn't really work on mobile. On mobile, you want things to be docked. How many servers do you need to keep Warzone up and running? Currently, 12. 12 servers. Okay, so back to the blog. Oh yeah, this one was a huge pain. It's just a little bug fix with mods. I will say there's this concept in mods called fog mods, where you can modify the fog, so you can be like, there's a smoke bomb mod where you can like obscure territories from everyone else that are normally visible. I will say the fog mod thing has had so many issues. It has been. I thought it wouldn't be that hard to implement. It turns out super, super hard. There's all these weird edge cases. So like this is a bug where if you are spying on a player and they attack from a territory that's fog modded into fog, out of it into a territory that you normally could not see, it would create a broken situation that would cause the game to get errors. Anyway, it's fixed now, but it was a huge pain to track down. And there's been a lot of fog mod bugs like that. If you go back in the patch notes, you'll find one in pretty much every update for the last few updates. Hopefully they're all fixed now. 2 wins for you, 6 wins. 2 wins for you, 6 wins for me, with dates ranging from 2019 to 2025. Man, that's rough. Sorry. I'll go easy on you next time. Except I don't even know what your username is in the game. Are they all in the USA? I struggle a little sometimes. Yes, the servers for hosting Warzone are in the East Coast, I think in the New York area. Couldn't view the history of that game anymore, even watch the turn. Corinne and I broke fog mods a lot of way. Sorry for the extra work. No, it's good. Hopefully we get it all working. Okay, so that's the end of the blog. Let's talk about this forum thread. These are questions that people asked ahead of time, and I'll continue answering questions from chat. But once we get through this forum thread, that'll be the end of today's stream. Thanks for the amazing update. Got a few questions. Won't be able to make the AMA. Wait, what? You are here. Was there a reason for not limiting the Oh, that's right. I think I originally typoed it and had it as a Monday, a copy paste error. You thought it was Monday. Was there a reason for not limiting the special unit image? Okay, we already talked about that. One of raffle facts is Warzone is primarily written in the C# programming language. It also uses Hex, SQL, Scala, Lua, Python, JavaScript, Java, C++, Objective-C, and Swift. And guess what the C# game logic, Lua mods, SQL database, JavaScript website are for, but what does the rest do and how do they work together? Okay, so Objective-C and Swift are for the iPhone platform. It does not use Objective-C and Swift very much. Most of the iPhone platform is done through Unity, which mostly runs C#. However, there are a couple plugins that do use Objective-C and Swift. Java and Scala are actually, the server is hosted on the Java virtual machine, and most of that code is written in Scala. There's a couple parts of it that are also written in Java. And yes, it is very unusual for a C# app to be hosted on the JVM, but I do it that way for a lot of historical reasons that would take a long time to get into, so I won't go through the whole thing. I'll just go over this fast. Haxe, H-A-X-E, or some people pronounce it Hex. It's a little language that's like a multi-platform language. So I can show it. It looks something like this. But this is a language where you write code in this language, Haxe, and then it gets translated into any number of target languages. So that was originally done for translating into ActionScript, because it was back when we were a Flash app. But it is still used, and we mostly use the JavaScript output target. So some of the code that goes in here powers the website. It's basically a long-winded way of what I'm saying that. Python is used for a lot of server administration tasks like backup scripts and load balancing, all sorts of stuff. Python's a nice little nifty language. C++ I think is only used in one place. For some of the map processing, there's a tessellation routine that basically takes your SVG file when a map author uploads a map and turns it into like triangles that can be rendered by a GPU. There's a little program that's written in C++, mostly because it's a program that like I borrowed from someone else and they wrote it in C++, so I didn't rewrite it. So that's all the languages and how they're used. Is there a way to know which player is first to move in the beginning of a game? So to know that, first you have to look at the move order on that game. So if you go into the settings, look for this line that says move order. Right here, move order. In this game it says cycle. If you click the little question mark, you get a description of the types of move order. So there's random move order, in which case you will never know who's going first. It's just a 50-50, it's a random chance every time. You can drink water. If it's cyclic, then once you find out, then it basically alternates. It swaps order every turn. So once you figure out what the move order is, you basically know what it is. You can go back in history and deduce it. And then there's the no luck cyclic move order. In that mode, it will actually tell you, it will actually say right on the screen what order you're getting every turn. So in that one, there's no ambiguity. And the reason is because no luck cyclic is determined based on how fast you move on your first turn. If you've ever played a game, you'll probably know it because there's a little dialogue that comes up at the beginning that says something like, there's a begin button, and you click begin and it starts timing you. What are the maps written in? Just HTML, CSS. The maps are made in by an SVG file, so map authors make the maps. My microphone is not the clearest one. Oh, that's too bad. It is clear. He just moves a bit far away. I just reached to get my water. Okay. Okay, talking about the date mistake. Won't be able to make it. What is your record of pints of ice cream you've eaten in a bathtub? I don't eat them in a bathtub. I have eaten whole pints of ice cream. I've actually eaten a lot more than a pint before. But how many people have idle premium? I do not know. You guys would be surprised at how little time I spend analyzing statistics. Most companies, most big companies especially, will have entire departments of people that just analyze how many people are doing their stuff. I don't worry about that stuff at all. I just make the game, best game I can, and however many people buy something is how many people buy it. I don't really pay attention or look at stats. I don't have quarterly meetings where I have big graphs and I talk about how can we get these numbers up. No. Let's see. I already answered this. It seems like there's two main account types, free and member. Would you ever consider adding a third type, mod contributor? So I wouldn't classify them as account types, but yes, there's a membership that you can get to unlock a whole bunch of features. Something to allow mod development to be free. So you have to be careful with this, because if you allow mod usage to be free to contributors, some people will just do the minimum amount of contribution in order to unlock the mods. And it's not really something you want. First off, if you make the bar too low, people can just do like, I'm going to change your README file, and there we go. Now I'm a mod contributor, and there we go. Or they're going to copy paste someone else's mod and upload it. Be like, okay, now I made a mod. So now I get mods for free? That's kind of not really what we want to encourage. We also don't really want to encourage people to do the minimum, like, I'm going to contribute mod just so I can say I contribute to mod and get the free rewards. Like, that ends up leading to bad contributions. So there's like, I'm not entirely opposed to the idea of this, but it's tricky to get right. Certainly the people that are doing lots of mod development, I would have absolutely no problem with giving them rewards for that, but it's tricky to do correctly. How many active players are there playing Warzone? I don't know. See the answer to this question. Although you tend to not play in community events personally, do you understand how they work? And do you have a favorite? I have played in some community events, but mostly I play in the official events. And I do understand how they work. I do make the API that most of them use, and I have worked with many of the authors of them. Got another round of questions about custom structures. Can you confirm we don't have to register a structure like you do with cards? Yes, I confirm you do not have to register a custom structure. The reason you have to register cards is because the system has to know, like, to give the cards out to people. With custom structure, it's just stored, all the data is stored in the structure. Simply calling structure type.custom when you need it is enough, yes. What will happen if two mods use the same structure name? That is okay, it will not cause any problems. And the reason is because it actually looks at encodes your mod ID into the structure type. Also, you might be interested, if you call structure type.custom, that just returns a string. If you print out that string, it will actually make the way it works very clear to you. You will see that your mod ID is actually in that string that gets returned. Is there a limit of structures we can use in one mod? Yes. And that limit is 50. 50 different images. There's no limit to the number of structures specifically. There's a limit to the number of different images you can have. You're limited to 50 images. Switch sound to headset is better? Cool. Glad to know my mic doesn't suck. This is a $30 mic I bought off Amazon like 10 years ago. And it's great. I've had no problems with it. Please share database password so you can figure it out. Switch sound to headset. Oh yeah, I already read this. What would you advise to a mod maker looking to get icons and images for their mods, but who's terrible at graphics design? I would say reach out to the community. Someone can help you out with that. There are many people who are good at graphics design, but not programming. In fact, in my experience, there's a lot more people who like making images and icons that are not capable of programming. So usually there's an imbalance towards making that a solved problem. Are you going to add some more single-player levels, not community levels? I would love to play some more single-player levels. I'm not currently planning on that, and usually if I were to do that, and when I have done that in the past, I actually just pull community levels and make them official levels. So you don't actually need me to do this. You can already go to community levels and just like pick them out. I guess you want a more curated list though. You don't want to go find good ones. I'm guessing is what you want. And the same question goes to idle levels. It would be great if there would be new idle levels, perhaps seasonal levels. I think that's a cool feature. I think you should submit that to the feature request forum. If it's not already there, I'm not sure if it's there. Seasonal levels is almost surely not there, but just a feature request to add new idle levels might already be there. There's already a lot. I'm surprised that you're asking. Have you super ascended? That is my next question, because you unlock a whole bunch of levels when you super ascend. Oh, I can't actually look right now. I don't have my admin features turned on. If you have not super ascended, note that there are a bunch of levels you haven't played yet. Will the Flunky Fizzers clan be playing in the Clan Cup? So I am actually no longer affiliated with Flunky Fizzers. That clan has been handed off to new ownership, so you'd have to ask the owners of that clan. Why is Warzone suddenly showing everything 1 hour late for me? My first question would be, are you in a location that does daylight savings time? Did your daylight savings time recently change by 1 hour? That would be my guess. Warzone does not obey daylight savings time. We track UTC, which just stays fixed. So if your local time zone changes by an hour, then everything will change by an hour for you. Because Warzone did not change. Okay, so I will say that Warzone does have a time zone system. You can come in here and it will show you what it thinks your time zone is. And it adjusts all the dates by this, whatever it says here, like it says GMT -7, and it says automatic. This should update automatically as you play the game. If it is wrong, as you say here, it's set to +3, what should be +2. If it doesn't update within about a day, send me a bug report, and I'll try to figure out why it's not updating. Warzone went from Silverlight and other frameworks to Unity, and has been using that for a while. Are there any plans to move to another framework? What sort of things need to happen for you to consider such change? So, yeah, let's go over the history. So, Warzone did start in Silverlight. Let's talk. Sounds like you're talking about the website because you're talking about Silverlight. Platform history on website. Let's go through a brief little history lesson here. I'll make this really big. So when it first launched, it was indeed Silverlight. If you don't know what Silverlight is, that was Microsoft's competitor to Flash. It's basically a browser plugin. Man, some people probably don't even know what Flash is. Is there anybody in here that does not know what Flash is? Adobe Flash. I'd be interested to know. Any youngins here? So originally we were Silverlight, and then we switched to Flash. And there was a period where both Silverlight and Flash were hosted simultaneously, and you could go into the settings and choose. Once it became clear that Silverlight was no longer going to be a thing. Silverlight, by the way, used to be what powered Netflix. Netflix still exists. They haven't used Silverlight in a long time, and neither does Warzone. Silverlight was deleted, and then we were Flash only. For many, many years, we were Flash only until 2017, when I launched Unity, and Unity was on the website. And so on the website, you could choose between Flash and Unity. And the Unity, it used WebGL, and it was slow to load. That was the big problem I had with it. Kind of hated it, to be honest. It just took so long to load. And so these were the two options that were available. Flash was a dying platform, now Flash is completely dead. At the time, it was announced that it was going to be dead, but it was not dead yet. And then you had the Unity version, which was slow, so we kind of had a problem. So then I invented a platform, I kind of call it UJS. UJS, originally, there was an SVG version of the UJS platform. That was launched about a year after Unity. And then for a while, you had these three options on the website. You could choose between them. I realized the SVG solution kind of stunk. So I made a Canvas implementation of UJS. And this is the first version that actually still exists today. In fact, most of you that are playing on the website are probably using this UJS Canvas implementation of Warzone on the website. This is what is the default today, basically the today's 2D mode. Shortly after that, the SVG version was deleted because it wasn't as good as the Canvas version. And then after that, we also ended up deleting the Flash and Unity versions because Flash died and the Unity version was too slow. Nobody was using it. Pretty much nobody was using it. So I got rid of those. And then for a while, we had only this implementation, and now we have a new one called Babylon, which is today's 3D mode. So when you ask the question, are these plans to move to another framework at some point? Yes. The new framework is called Babylon. And you can use it today. If you don't know what they're talking about, if you play on the website and you go into the settings, there's this button that says 3D mode. You can check or uncheck this box. If you check this box, you will get the new rendering engine, which is called Babylon.js. And it looks all 3D and cool. And yeah, you can see there's it's maybe not a good map to show it off, but let's see. Is there a good map to show it off? Sure, I can show this map. It's just the championship game of a coin tournament. No biggie. I don't mind showing my position. I'm pretty sure my opponent knows everything I have anyway. You can see it looks a lot different than what you might be seeing if I turn 3D mode off, actually I don't need to turn it off, I can pass in a parameter and 3D equals false. This is 2D, this is 3D, the big difference. There you go. So this is the new Babylon.js rendering engine. This is the old UJS Canvas rendering engine. Those are the two that exist today. So there you go. And right now you can choose between those in the website. That is the history of all the platforms. And we are planning on moving to Babylon. I think that is the one we're going to use going forward. Just because it's a lot better, it's a lot more flexible, we can do more with it. And it's nice and fast, and I think it works really well. If you're talking about the website, if you're talking about the mobile app has a very simple browser history, which it went from Xamarin to Unity. That's it. The Xamarin one doesn't exist anymore. Xamarin one also is now called, I think it's now called like Microsoft Android iPhone or something like that. Microsoft something. Also, it wasn't called Xamarin when I first started using it. It was called MonoTouch and MonoDroid. Then those became called Xamarin, and now they're called Microsoft something. Anyway, that was the original app. It doesn't exist anymore. Now we just have the Unity app. Okay. Oh, so UJS isn't Unity? I thought the U was for Unity. So it is converted from the Unity app, but it actually does not use any Unity components at runtime. Speaking of 3D, how many maps are made for 3D these days? I have no idea. Oh, Xamarin, yuck. Understand why you moved away from that. I actually kind of liked it. I mean, it wasn't great for games, but the UI, I actually think the UI in Xamarin stuff is better than the UI in Unity stuff. One of the things I like about it is it uses the native UI controls on iPhone and Android, whereas Unity just kind of uses its own UI controls. Okay. A couple updates ago, you started testing mods in Mega Games. Yes, we did. Can you get an update on how that is going? I mentioned this last stream, but it didn't happen. I want to create another test game, a more intensive one. We created one test game, and it went fine. It was a very toe in the water kind of simple test. I want to create a more intensive test game, a mega game with mods. Actually, I need someone. I asked in the last stream if someone to send me a link to a template that uses a bunch of mods. So here's what I want, and I didn't quite get this. I want someone to send me a template that they have used in like at least a 30 to 40 player game with a bunch of mods. It doesn't matter what mods they are, even mods that don't currently work in mega games, that's fine. I just want a template that's like well tested, that's actually good. Because if I invent it, I'm gonna make a bunch of mistakes, and I don't want to figure out all the right mod settings to use. Does anybody out there use modded template? Hopefully not too many mods. I'd like to see one that just uses like 1 or 2 or 3 mods. I think would be ideal. 3 or fewer mods. I don't really want to do the first tests with like 30 mods. It's just like way too much. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm looking for. If anyone has a template like that, send me that and send me a link to an example game where you've played with at least 30 people. Is increasing the time limit for mods that is needed? If so, we'd be willing to. I think I already did. I can't remember if I did already, but if it ends up being required, then I am willing to, yes. But we'll see if it's required. I don't know if it'll be required yet. Yeah, there are icons on the game menu. I'm glad you enjoy it. Yeah, you're welcome. Custom structures, we talked about this already. Follow-up question to the custom structure request. It consisted of 4 components. Custom graphic, which is done. Mod data, can live without it. Yeah, so I thought about adding a way to store mod data with structures, but ultimately it's not well set up for that, just the way the data structures are set up in the app. And you can always do it yourself just by writing to private data. Mods have a place to store data. Just index it on territory ID and your structure, or index it on whatever you want. So you can basically store it yourself. It's just not tied to the structure. Should still work. And then the mod ID can live without it. There actually is a way to get the mod ID out of a custom structure. Like if you're looking at someone else's custom structure and you want to get the mod ID, if you inspect the structure type thing, you'll find that it's actually in there. It's just a string and the mod ID is in there. And stacking. Yeah, I consider doing more stacking the way cities stack. Like if you have a whole bunch of cities on territory, it just puts the number and one city icon. Whereas right now, other structures just duplicate. Unfortunately, it was a little hard for me to do, so I decided not to do it. But I would recommend, one thing you can do as a workaround is you can create an icon that's like, 3 of your icon and kind of pack them tight together or something like that. Or just put a 3 and your icon. Something like that. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but it is kind of a workaround. But yeah, I understand the desire for this request. I would say create a feature request for it, and maybe it'll happen sometime. Okay, so that is the last question. I'll refresh. Oh, one more question. Do you have a favorite game template? I think my favorite template is MME, local deployment, no cards with commanders. MME commander, no cards, is that what it's called? Something like that? I think that's my favorite template. Cool. All right. I think we'll call it there. So thanks everyone so much for watching. If you have any questions, you feel free to submit them for the next stream if you missed. I'm going to be posting this to YouTube. I always do that. Hi YouTube people that are watching it now. So thanks everyone for showing up and asking all the great questions. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope to see you next time. Have a good weekend.